Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Noel A. Figueroa, and welcome to episode 5 of season 2 of the P.W.P. Sessions podcast. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I'm excited and honored to have the opportunity to speak with my latest guest, Miss Robin Graham. She is the founder and publisher of Spotlight on Recovery magazine, and I'm looking forward to diving into this conversation. But before we get started, I'm going to do an introduction. As I mentioned, this is episode 5. And for those of you that may not be familiar with my podcast, the PWP Sessions podcast is a podcast that I created where I conduct interviews with new or established authors of poetry. I also interview rappers or MCs. I feature a performance of their work, and there will be an audience Q&A at the end of the interview. I am the host, Noel A. Figueroa. I am a poet, author, blogger, workshop facilitator, and event host, and I'm the creator of the P.W.P. Sessions. And tonight's guest is Robin Graham, and this is her bio. Robin Graham was born and raised in the Fort Greene section of Brooklyn and still lives in Brooklyn today. The decision to use recovery as a theme for her publication is both personal and global. Fighting through her own issues in search of support, Robin realized that although countless organizations and resources were available to the masses, the people were not willing to step inside the doors of these organizations. The people themselves had to unlock their own doors before they could step into a room where others understood and didn't judge them. Robin's personal journey through domestic violence, depression, harassment on the job, and witness to how the crack epidemic destroyed her significant other and robbed an otherwise loving family of its structure speaks to the many doors and battles one person might endure before they would seek outside support. There are so many issues blocking your senses that you couldn't even find a door. Spotlight on Recovery has no door. You just walk in. Come as you are. Bring your baggage and stay for a while. Robin has found that we all know someone who is in crisis, whether financially, emotionally, mentally, or physically. Her mission is to provide a platform where the human spirit could begin to heal. Robin is giving a voice to the therapeutic community, a voice to all of God's children who suffered and became adults, still carrying around their scars of childhood trauma. Now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Robin Graham. Good afternoon, Robin. How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm fine. Thank you, Noel, for having me tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much for being my guest. I'm going to start off with a basic question
No
to ask all my guests. Who is Robin Graham? How would you define yourself or describe yourself?
Good question. Robin Graham is a person who believes that everyone has the power to change someone else's life, whether you know it or not. And my purpose is to do just that, change as many lives as I can. Mostly I work with the incarcerated community. Once you turn on one light in the prison institution, that's a light that could be followed by others. So I've turned on many lights in the prisons throughout the United States. So
Excellent.
that's who
Excellent.
Robin Graham is.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, can you share with our audience your connection to poetry? Are you a poet yourself, or did you just have a desire to create a form for poets? Like, how did you get started?
Well, I like journaling. So when I journal, you tend to do it poetically. I do anyway. I try to find a sentence that will match another sentence. I did a lot of poetry that was personal, and I did publish them in my magazine for different topics. And again, they were personal, and I think poetry is personal. You are drawing from your personal experience, you're drawing from life experience, you're drawing from your pain, your struggle, and your happiness. So I think I've always been a poet, and through journaling have been writing these short poems for myself to reflect on.
All right, that's awesome, awesome, and you're so right. You know, poetry is in fact personal, and when we share our emotions on paper, you know, we're sharing with our audience parts of ourselves that, you know, that we're choosing to be vulnerable with in the hopes that we may connect with the reader on a personal level and on a personal level. And I think that should be the intent of poetry in general, you know, to reach those that need to be reached, you know, with what we have been through or what we have to say or what we have thoughts or opinions on, because at the end of the day, you know, there is someone else, at least one other person that has walked the same path that we have walked. So our words may be
Yes.
helping them on their journey. So I'm in full agreement with that. Now, now in terms of the magazine, was it your intent be, to start this magazine? Can you share with your audience, for those that may not be familiar, like what the magazine is and how you decided to get started with it?
Okay, the magazine started out as a newsletter. I was working for a nonprofit organization that um, gave a place for people who were intended to go to prison but opted out to do a program. So it was called the Staying Out program, where they would come, they would live at the location and get resources. So I was working there as a secretary. And one day I sat in the group, the round table that everybody sits and talks about their pressures and their pain. And I'm listening, I'm like, wow, you know, some of these ladies and gentlemen felt some of the pain I felt growing up. And I didn't know where to find a circle that let you just be raw about it and talk about it. So one day the location, something happened and they decided they had to shut it down so nobody could read, nobody could watch TV, nobody could listen to music. They had to sit there with their hands folded. I said, well, I want to make sure I do something that they might be interested in. So I started a newsletter. And I remember the director saying, you think these people are going to write for you? I said, I don't know if they're going to write. I just want them to know it's here.
Right.
So I started a newsletter and they did write. They wrote poetry, they wrote personal letters, they wrote articles, short stories. And the director never said anything like that to me again, after he saw the product.
Mhm.
So when I knew that I was going to uh, leave that organization, I decided that we still needed a magazine like this to spotlight recovery and what it entails and how many levels of recovery a person might need. From my personal struggles, there was no way for me to just decide at 21, oh, I'm having a hard time, I'm a single parent again, and let me go find a therapist. You're not thinking like that at 21. So you just move on. So I wanted people to know that there are people talking about struggles and that we need a magazine that's going to talk about that and be upfront about what it is and what you go through and how you could recover and turn it around. So that was the purpose of the magazine.
Awesome, awesome. Now, did you include your own poetry in the magazine, or did you want to
Yes,
focus?
yes.
Oh, okay, awesome, awesome. And outside of the magazine, did you publish your own like separate collections of poetry, or
I'm
submit poetry
collecting,
other places?
I'm pulling all my poetry now to put possibly a chapbook together
Mm,
because I want to add some more poetry on my personal experiences and things people wouldn't really uh, think that I would be interested in. But I'm a big hockey fan, so I think it would be interesting to see how does a Black woman get involved with hockey
mhm.
and write that out and let people see that you don't have to. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. A sport is a sport, and I would like to delve into that so people could see from my point of view how I got into hockey and the music that I like also. And, you know, growing up in Fort Greene is always an interesting topic because it's not the Fort Greene anymore. If you ever been downtown Brooklyn, it's very different from when I was growing up.
Absolutely.
But all the schools that I attended are still standing.
Mhm.
So it'd be good to go back and just reflect on that.
Right, excellent, excellent. Now, in regards to the magazine, like when first starting out, like what was the content like in the beginning? Like what were the subjects that were being tackled?
Some of the subjects was substance abuse. My first issue dealt with substance abuse. My second issue dealt with dyslexia and other learning disabilities. I raised three children with disabilities, so that was very personal. Um, my third issue started dealing with women in prison and parenting from prison. And then eventually domestic violence, which my personal life uh, story again, a survivor of domestic violence. Um, the war at home, which I'm going to do another issue about the war at home. Um, and just different topics that we're not talking about. We're talking about it, then again, we're not. The only way we talk about it is when it makes the headlines. And then when that's not the top story anymore, it disappears, but people are still dealing with it underneath. And that's why we got to spotlight those recoveries, those efforts, those who are being resilient in life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what types of people are you encountering that contribute to your publication? I mean, I know, you're dealing with incarcerated people, but you know, incarcerated people are multifaceted, just like people that are outside of the jail. You know what I mean? So, who have you encountered, on your journey of developing the magazine and having those that contribute to the magazine? Like, who have we come across?
Freelance writers, teachers, people who are counselors and therapists, which are very interesting because they are actually coming out to say, hey, I'm a therapist that was in recovery. And they shared that story. I have people who are in business. I have people that are like own their own business, a masseuse. I want to do an issue for children who have incarcerated parents because we don't hear from them. We don't hear their plight. And I want to do a issue which I think a lot of people might relate to is unchecked trauma, because you can look at somebody and think, oh, they're okay, but underneath it, there's a storm brewing, and we never know when their breaking point is, which is what's happening out around today. Somebody is on the edge and you don't know it, and you say something and it's something simple, and before you know it, you hitting the ground, and you're like, well, what did I do? It's not what you did, it's that the person had other issues going on or some stress going on, and we couldn't see it. So unchecked trauma is really a topic I want to tackle and hear other people talk about how we could um, help people who may be in trouble, and just because they don't seem like it, find a way to make sure.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And how long has the magazine been in existence?
20 years.
20
It'll be
years?
it'll be 21 years next month.
Wow, awesome. Bless God. Congratulations on that. That's an awesome accomplishment. What keeps you
Thank you.
what keeps you driven to continue to put out issue after issue? Like what is your like your driving factor or your motivating force to to keep at it?
My writers, when I get a letter from them telling me that how the magazine has helped them, how they strive to be a better person, how they never used to show their writing to anybody because they thought they would laugh at them. And here they are now with the world to see their work. They've gained confidence, self-worth, and um, just for the ones who are not incarcerated, they say the opportunity to help others. Yeah. So if I could provide that and they're telling me that it's helpful to them as well, then that's my motivation to keep providing that service.
Absolutely, absolutely. And and as far as the magazine itself, like you would say it's a balance of poetry and articles. Like what subject matter will be covered? Like let's say it take out of like in a particular issue, like what subjects have been tackled?
Okay. My personal for my personal poetry.
No, as far as the magazine, like what subjects have you encountered that's been contributed to the magazine? Like what topics have been covered?
Oh, all my topics. I have one that I called "Why Didn't You Tell Me," which was my suicide intervention issue, and we had quite a few poetry that talked about this is why I didn't tell you, and it's eye opening that um, reasons people don't tell you that they're in trouble. My issue that I did on lies I've been taught. There's been some eye openers there because there's so many things we're taught as children, and when we grow up, we find out, well, wait a minute, you said this, but look at that. Simple things like sticks and stones may break your bones, and lies, words don't hurt you. According to social media, words do hurt. So
Absolutely,
we can't sing that song anymore.
right. Absolutely.
We definitely can't sing that song.
Mhm.
Boys are not supposed to cry. You know, those simple things that you think is cute growing up, and you realize later when you're an adult that wait a minute, something's wrong with this picture. Something's wrong with that song that we've been singing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And now, and what has been the response to your magazine as far as the readers? Like, what kinds of comments have you been receiving, like overall?
That it's such a great read. They read it from front to back. It's not a magazine filled with a lot of perfume ads and fashion ads or anything like that. I get right down to business with the content. Um, I had family members say they're so proud of their son because now they see a different side of their child that you know they're behind bars, but now you're seeing, wait a minute, this is my child, and they get to post it online. Um, so they get to see a different child or a different human being that they thought was someone different because of the mistakes they made. And I believe in second, third, fourth, fifth chances because we are human beings and we're supposed to make mistakes, good, bad, or indifferent. You know, I don't judge people unless I be judged. I like to see the good in everyone. And it goes a long way for somebody to say, hey, I see you and I hear you. And that's what's important, who you are now. That goes a long way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And would you say that there's certain topics that are talked about more than others, or would you say that there's a balance of subject matter that's covered?
Mental health is talked about a lot. Prison reform is talked about a lot amongst my writers. I recently dropped a new magazine called As Above, So Below, basically to say that the way people in prison are being treated should not be less than, but equal to how you would treat somebody on the outside. Having a prison sentence doesn't mean you should be treated disrespectfully. That's not part of the um, the the sentence. The sentence is you do your time, okay, and you're going to do your time here at this location for the duration. But it doesn't stipulate that you have to be treated unfairly, not given sufficient medical help, be put in a violent position, to be abused. That's not what the sentence says. So that's why I meant that magazine to have the equal sign and as above, so below. And
Absolutely.
that one is strictly for my incarcerated and formerly incarcerated citizens to participate in that particular issue.
Excellent, excellent. And you shared with me two sample issues, and I'm thoroughly impressed with how it's put together. And just reading the poetry and the articles, from these people, just to see their their passion for writing and their need to share their experiences is it's just a blessing, not only to me, but I'm quite sure it's blessing many people that read the magazine, because they're seeing perspectives that they may not have been exposed to, or it could be situations where people are ignorant to certain things, but once they read the magazine, they saw that what they thought all along wasn't necessarily what it was. So it's good that there's an outlet such as yours that's providing fresh perspectives to people that are incarcerated, because it's not the stereotypical images that you see on TV or in the movies. These are real people dealing with real issues, and yes, they've made their mistakes, but at the end of the day, we still need to acknowledge their humanity and their willingness, to want to do better and be better. And I can see by
Right.
reading your magazine that it provides this platform for people to show that to show their humanity, to show that they're in touch with what's going on, and show their desire to be seen and heard, for all of these issues to be addressed. So, I applaud your efforts and your longevity in this, because not
Thank you.
everyone is doing it in this fashion. So, congratulations on such an awesome achievement.
Thank you so much. And one of the things my writers share with me is that although they do write for other outlets, very few of them actually pay them.
Mhm.
I do pay them because I can't imagine being in that environment, trying to focus on submitting a well-written article and not pay you for your time and your efforts. So they are contracted workers. And
Absolutely.
I don't think that's heard of anywhere. When I spoke to a couple of people that run websites where they also publish their work, oh no, we don't pay them. I'm like, you don't pay them? No,
Mhm.
we don't pay them. I'm like, wow. I can't imagine not paying these men and women for their time and their effort
Right.
in the most difficult environment imaginable.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, can you describe the process to our audience of how you put together an issue of a magazine of a particular issue from start to finish? What is that process
Sure.
like?
So the process is every October, I send out 6 topics to my writers, explain them what the content should have. Um, and they get to choose 2 of the 6 topics with deadlines. The reason I only give them 2 is because I have over 125 writers, and they're coming from everywhere, from emails, and most of them are handwritten because they're coming from prison.
Right.
So I don't want to say, everybody write for all 6. I'm the only one that's reading them. I'm the only one that's typing them up and editing. And I answer every letter that comes across my desk. So in October, they get a list. The first article will be due in November, the next one, December, 2 in February, and 2 in March. So once I receive the letters, I type them up. I do accept 95% of the articles that come across my desk. The only reason I would not accept is if the handwriting's too bad and I can't read it, if they missed a deadline, and if they use foul language, then it's not gonna work. Okay, after I receive them, everybody sends in their contract. If they want to send a picture of themselves, they can do that. They send me a short bio. I send a letter out, letting them know your article is going to be placed in this particular issue and be published. I select each article and put them in a place where I think the magazine would flow best, what story after what story, etc. Then I put in a Word doc, send it to my graphic artist. She has about a month to put it together, send it back to me. I edit, send it back to her, field the advertising for the particular topic. And when it's all done and put together, I send it to my printer, and then I distribute.
So it's mainly you and your printer. Do you have a team of people coordinating with you? It's just you on your
No,
own? Mhm.
it's me on my own with a graphic artist and a printing company.
Yeah, excellent, excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. And yeah, that's an awesome thing. It is a lot of work, but you know what? The reward is so awesome to be able to say that you put something together with your own 2 hands for a purpose such as this. Is just very phenomenal, and it's much needed. Quite honestly, it is much needed.
Yes, it is. And reward is helping someone that the time you spend on earth, my feeling is that you are here for a purpose. And if you find that purpose while you're here, that's going to be great. It's going to be great because you're going to know it and you're going to feel it. And to be able to live it without any regrets, that's the icing on the cake.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I'm quite sure, throughout your tenure with dealing with this magazine, that you've heard the word representation, thrown around in certain circles and in certain.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the word.
Oh, I'm sorry. The word was representation.
Okay.
I'm sure you've heard that word used in various instances and situations. In regards to representation, how important is it to you that making sure that you're representing, not only yourself but your writers, in their totality, in regards to race, religion, backgrounds, life experiences. How important is it to you that you're making sure that you're representing not only yourself, but your writers in your full totality?
Oh, that's very important. That's number one. I have a group of writers from all walks of life. And what's interesting is I don't know what they look like until they send me a picture. So I would read their article first, read their bio. And if they never send me a picture, I'm not one that's going to go online where I could go online and search their record and all that. I don't want to do that.
Mhm.
because that's going beyond the scope of what I'm interested from them as a contributing writer. I'm not interested in your background. So when you're comfortable to send me your picture, that's when I get to know what you look like. I do have some issues that are translated into Spanish, so I am speaking to a new translator now so that I can have the magazines translated into Spanish. So it's very important that I can reach everybody, anyone that's interested in finding a way to get from underneath their burdens, their stress, their anxieties, and find their purpose in this world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, during the tenure of your magazine, did you receive any special acknowledgments? Like, were there any awards or events or anything of that nature that put your magazine on the spotlight that you'd like to share?
There was two. I've sent copies when President Obama became president. I sent him a copy called Dear Mr. President. And he responded with the regular mail that you would send someone that sent you a gift.
Right.
And then in 2020, the same to President Biden and Vice President Harris. Vice President Harris responded in kind also with a nice letter, which I have a postcard that I will be framing.
Oh, awesome,
But
awesome.
no awards because um, until recently, when I was doing the magazine, I was a DBA doing business as because I was working full time and over the 20 years raising kids. So not until last year when I retired was am I able to be focused. So I will be trying to get some awards out there and get my name and the magazine out there so people could acknowledge the work that I do. That's not at the top of my list.
Right.
The top of my list is helping people find their way.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And from the time you started until present day, looking back, do you feel there's anything that you could have done differently, or do you feel um, everything happened the way that it needed to happen in order for your magazine to have the impact that it had?
Part of me wished that I could have followed the agenda of a magazine publisher the way that it's done, the correct way. But because I did it backwards, I would say I'm not disappointed. I had a lot to learn and I didn't mind learning on the way. I didn't mind making mistakes when I started. I don't mind that I'm not able to be on the newsstands and things like that. Um, I am proud of what I've created, that I own it, and that it has room to grow. So there's still time for it to go where it needs to go. So yeah, I'm fine with the way it came around.
Awesome, awesome. Now, at this time, I want to segue into the next segment of our interview. I'd like to give you the opportunity to take the mic. At this time, if you have any poetry or if you'd like to read an article, like a sample of an article from your magazine, you're welcome to do so at this time. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. The first poetry poem I'm going to read is from my magazine I did called Living on the Other Side of 50. That's when I was about to turn 50 and I was feeling like, oh boy, half a century old, you know, what am I thinking? And this like part of my journaling. So it's called The Senior Moment. When you wake up and still feel tired, each day takes a little more to get you inspired. No longer the child, no longer mid 40s, mid 50s, almost glad you made it past age 60. Lost hearing, lost speed, lost agility, maybe the sight to see. The senior moment is here, whispering in your ear. Are you living alone? Are you in a senior home? Do you panic? Do you fight it? What will you do in your senior moment? Time tock, tick time tock. Life doesn't stop. Skin wrinkles, hair graying towards white. Family is nowhere in sight. Finding yourself afraid of the night. As each day passes to blue, the world will grow, the world will age as you do. The rest of your life can be the rest of your life or the best of your life. When you move towards your destiny to a life in senior citizenship, just wrap your arms around the day the Lord has made and humbly embrace it. So that's what I've done. I've embraced my senior citizenship. My next poem was for an issue I did about um, called If My Hair Could Talk. This was a personal journal as well. I was thinking about all the things I'd done to my hair and ruined the beautiful black natural hair that I had. I've come to terms with it, but this is what I thought back in 2008. If my hair could talk, a hair story, no more drama. When we first met, I was accepted, loved, cuddled, and pampered, curled, twisted, and praised, brushed, combined, I'm sorry, brushed, combed, dressed, and pressed. Oh, you were amazed. Then came a moment of fashion. You found a way to make me more dashing. You didn't check with a doctor or expert. You just allowed me to be operated on. And in some instances, I was burned, burned beyond recognition. I would then need the treatment every 6 weeks, like a cosmetic injection. You showed me off, looking good, silky, shiny, smooth, cropped or long, while my roots screamed beneath the hood. We continued on, salon and styles with foam, dryers for 30 to 40 minutes, dyes of all colors and tints. Now I'm tired and dry to the bone. You can't shake me and wake me. Now you cap me, chop me, and break me. You weave me, tie me, and bind me. Then you put a wig on me. I wonder, when will you mourn me? Where did it all take us? What was all the fuss? Oh, to be lost and damaged forever. Was it worth all the drama? That's for women who are doing those things to their hair. If your hair could talk, I believe that would be something your hair could say to you. My next article is from 2009 for my issue called Harassment on a Job. Again, another part of journaling because I was harassed on my job. It was not a happy event, let me tell you. This poem is called It's Not in My Job Description. It's not in my job description to dislike you, to harass you, or use you by placing you in a position that you are not comfortable with or trained to do. It is not in my job description to talk about you because of what you wear, to call you out of your name because I think it's funny, to enslave you because you have a disability. It's not in my job description to use degrading language and curse words. It's not in my job description to call you a freak and refuse to listen to you when you speak. It's not in my job description to threaten you, to force you to work long hours without a break, to physically abuse you, verbally abuse you, or sexually harass you. It's not in my job description to yell at you in front of others, destroy your property, or strip you of your dignity. It's not in, it is in your right to complain if I do. It is your right to hold me accountable. Just because I am in charge, a high ranking executive or the owner of the company, I have no right to treat you in a way that is unfair or uncivilized. And those are the 3 poems I wanted to share with you all tonight. Thank you for listening.
Excellent poetry. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, that was poetry shared by Miss Robin Graham. Thank you so much. I love the creativity and the subject matter. Thank you so much for sharing. Awesome poetry.
Thank you.
Now in this next segment, and we have a few more minutes before we close. I'm going to be ending a brief Q&A session, and I want to ask a very crucial question. Well, I won't say crucial, but a very curious question, and that is, if you could collaborate with any poet, living or deceased, who would it be and why?
Well, I think I would say Langston Hughes, because I felt that he wasn't afraid to speak the truth. He wasn't afraid to go there. And I haven't heard a lot of poetry that was just in your face, hitting you in your heart and in your gut to say, wow, he's on fire. I don't hear people talk like that, except maybe in rap music. Those artists used to, and some of them still do, take you there and wake you up. I like a poet that will wake me up, that'll make me think, and give me a reason to be active. Poet to work with now, I would have to listen to some of the rappers that are out there today. I kind of like Tupac Shakur, and I'd like to hear some of the other artists. I'm not a big rap fan these days, but I think that's where the best poetry is, and with some of my contributing writers are very good poets as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Definitely Tupac is major. And for sure, Langston Hughes, he was actually one of my inspirations for getting into poetry. So that's definitely 2 major players in the game, for sure, for sure. Now, when all is said and done, what would you like your legacy to be in regards to your poetry and in regards to your magazine?
I would like my legacy to be that I gave a voice to the therapeutic community, that I let those people who were struggling be heard and understood, that it wasn't always, oh, I chose to be in this position, is that there were things that were not allowed or there for me to grasp hold on to keep me from falling. And I fell. And Spotlight on Recovery helped me get back up.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. Now, if there's any if there's any events pertaining to your magazine or any future issues or things of that nature that you'd like to share with our audience, you can feel free to do so at this time.
Okay, my current issue is out, called Reasons, and I talk about those anxiety builders that we are faced with every day. We don't know what's building up in us until we explode. So I just kind of put a whole list of things on the cover being dropped from a helicopter, because we would love to drop all those issues from up high and just out of our way. So it's called Reasons, and getting rid of those anxieties and either confronting them, kicking them to the side, or letting them go. You don't have to live with all of that. You really don't. And whoever says you has to, they're telling you wrong. Um, for October and November, I have two back-to-back issues of the Writer's Choice. Every year, I allow my writers to write about what they want to write about. It's part of the writing therapy. I want to hear what you want to say. It doesn't always have to be what I put out there. So, so many people wrote in for that. I have two volumes, 5 and 6, coming out October, November. For December, it's movies with a message. This was I started a Zoom meeting for movies with a message, but I didn't get a big turnout. You read their concept of what the movie meant and what the message they received from. Okay, so when you read the articles and and their perspective on the movies that they saw, you're like, wow, I didn't look at it that way. Maybe I need to go see this movie again to see what this person saw. Somebody wrote about Soul Food. I wrote about Sergeant Rutledge, which is a classic film with Woody Strode, black actor who was a football player turned actor. Most people remember him as the black slave in Spartacus. He plays the sergeant that is accused of raping a white woman and is brought to trial. So I thought that movie just opened up some things for me about um, men in the military. So that's my December issue. And then in October, again, I'll be sending out my new 6 topics for 2023.
Excellent, excellent. Now, if someone wants to contact you or is interested in getting a copy of the magazine, how can they reach you?
By email, which is rgraham, GRAHAM _100 at msn.com. They can also subscribe through the website, www.spotlightonrecovery.com. You click on support and then click on subscribe.
Awesome, excellent, excellent. Now, as we close out the interview, just want to cover a couple of more things or a few things. First and foremost, I want to say thank you. Thank you, Robin Graham, for your time.
You're
Excellent
welcome.
interview, excellent poetry, and I'm very impressed and inspired by your mission. It's the subject matters that you cover are much needed. You know, they're still happening. They still need to be talked about. And I just want to commend you and thank you for providing a platform such as this, you know, that I'm quite sure is helping so many people. Thank you so much for sharing about your magazine. I wish you all the best. I wish you much success in your endeavors, and may God continually bless. Congratulations on 20 years of the magazine's existence, and I wish you many more. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your talents with our audience.
You're welcome. Thank you.
For those of you that wish to connect with Poets with Purpose and the P.W.P sessions, you can do so through the Facebook group Poets with Purpose, on Twitter @PoetsWPurpose, the YouTube channel of the same name, and also on Clubhouse @The Anointed Pen. Stay tuned for episode 6 in season 2 featuring poet Nathan Dillard. That's taking place next Saturday, September 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For more information about Poets with Purpose or the P.W.P sessions, you can contact me at 646-372-6230 or email me at poetswithpurpose@gmail.com. All logos and flyers for Poets with Purpose and the P.W.P sessions were designed by the awesome team at Eclipse Graphics. You can reach them on Instagram at @EclipseGraphicsNY to get samples of their work and to connect with them for any projects that you may be doing. Lastly, for those of you that wish to make a donation, you can do so through PayPal, Tap Media Man, $Anointed Pen, or through Zelly, utilizing my phone number. And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes episode 5. Robin, thank you again so much for your time. This episode will be uploaded to the Poets with Purpose YouTube channel within the hour or so. So you will have access to share with your social media networks. Robin, I'll be sure to email you the link to the channel for you to pass on to your
Okay.
contacts. Thank you all so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
You all have a good evening and God bless. Thank you.
Bye-bye.